Can you explain point and figure charts for us?
Many people, when they come to our courses, haven't even seen a point and figure chart before. Point and figure charts are made up of noughts and crosses. The columns of X's represent upward movement, the columns of circles represent downward movement. The key thing with a point and figure chart is, in order to change column from a column of X's to a column of circles or vice versa, the price has to reverse by a certain amount. If it reverses by less than that amount, then that move will not show on the chart, and this is the advantage that point and figure gives you. It's going to filter out small reversals in price, i.e. the noise. And the rule on a point and figure chart is that to start a new column, that column must have at least 3 X's or 3 circles in order to trigger the column change. So for example, if the value of each nought and X was a penny, then the share price would have to reverse by 3 pence or more to start a new column. Any reversal of a penny or 2p would not be shown and would effectively be filtered out.
Just how important is trading psychology?
Trading psychology is the most important aspect of trading. For me, psychology is an umbrella term. It includes things like money management, discipline, the use of rules, your attitude. It's all encompassing. I mean, the main reason why people lose in the markets is, as I mentioned, they will not take a small loss and they turn it into a bigger loss. Well, that process is one of psychology. It's an emotional response. How people feel when they're making money or losing money impacts on the decisions that they make. And for most people, they end up literally tripping themselves up in the markets by not understanding particularly the emotions of hope, fear and greed and how they operate, and falling into what we call mind traps. So a good technical technique is important, but it's not the most important thing. You need both. You need a good technical technique, but more importantly, you need good discipline and psychology. You could have a technique that finds 6 winners out of 10. You could still lose a lot if the 4 that go wrong don't have good stops. So for me, I've always said that of our various courses, the Will You Win or Lose Psychology Strategy course is the most important. This has to be the key element in trading.
Okay, well, what impact has improved psychology had on your trading?
In the first few years, I made just about every mistake you could imagine. Things that most people will do, for example, averaging a loser, which is one of the worst things you could do. Most of the time, it makes things worse. And cutting out these mistakes has helped me to improve my performance. You have never made your last mistake, but the idea is to get them down to a level where they're not interfering or not overtaking the successful trades. So I explain to delegates that it's a process of convergence. You kind of know where you're trying to get to. The path can be long and seem far away, but ultimately you're just eliminating bad behavior and bad habits, and then you arrive at where you want to be. So this process of convergence is very much a question of explaining to people the various traps and pitfalls and giving them the discipline to avoid falling into them.
Tell us a little about your courses.
Okay, a few years ago, New Skills was voted the best training company in the UK by Shares magazine. That was for our 5-day award-winning training course series. 3 of those days are technical analysis. One is the Will You Win or Lose Psychology Strategy course, which I've just mentioned. That is in fact the longest continuous running course in the UK for private investors.
What do you think people should look for in a course?
We've always offered our courses on the basis that they will improve performance or maximise performance, never on the basis that this is a way to get rich quick. I actually don't believe in that. I think most people who try to get rich quick in the markets will end up losing. Better to try and get rich slowly. We've seen many promoters offer seminars where they've used words like financial freedom, and the implication is that people will get rich quick or will be able to make so much money from trading that they could give up their job. We feel, especially for the beginner, that this is a mistake and an exaggeration, and it would be quite risky, in fact, for anyone to pack in work in order to make a full-time living from the market. First, they must prove to themselves that they can really do it. So I think claims are very important. People need to scrutinise what is being claimed by a seminar promoter, and if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. And certainly if it is claimed or implied that this is a way to get rich quick, people need to be very careful. And particularly people need to look at the figures Some seminars have claimed that people could make 15% a month. Well, if you annualize that, that's 630 something percent a year, and people should remember that Warren Buffett's long-term track record is 22% a year. So people need to be very, very careful with claims, and they need to scratch beneath the surface. They need to ask what the qualifications are of the trainers, their background, their experience, and their professional memberships, because often there aren't any at all.